Uh, so yeah, thought I'd talk about this. Definitely not coming in strong because I'm distracted right now. But yeah, so first we got slowism. This is a no complete order, by the way. This is a no type of who's better, who ain't. These are people that I favored. These are people that inspired me into certain ways and people that I seen myself growing, and they helped me find my growth, and I seen something in them that I did not see in anybody else. So first we got slowism. Cannot believe that he died. I cannot believe someone told me that. When the first time I seen slowism, I was so captivated because at the time I was trying my best to shoot fast. And so for me to see that from somebody like that and the way he did it, it's definitely something different from myself. And it's funny how I started to kind of shoot like that. I mean, I'm not using but those games are different. Those guns are different. They're not the same. That's the thing, I'm sure he'd still find a way. He'd probably still find a way, kind of like how I did. Amazing player. Definitely, probably the fastest shot in Call of Duty, at least those Call of Duties that you guys like. Whatever, whatever y'all like. He's definitely has the fastest shot, and his reaction time was impeccable. It was very, very. There's really nothing I could say that could make it any greater than what it was. It, it's there for the. It's all there for you. Ground game was so good. Definitely wasn't the best trapper. Maybe if you would have shot a little slower, but that was just how he was. Alright. So next we have LM Surge. Kind of the same thing. I seen Surge first. I usually call him I'm Surge, but it's LM Surge. Rightfully. He did not play for too long. He went away quite fast, which sucks. I wish I could have actually seen him play right in front of me. One of the smartest players I've seen. One of the sneakiest, cunning players I've ever seen. He really knew. Thing about him is he really knew how to break down a situation where you and him are playing each other, and he would he would just find these ways out of nowhere on you. That's something I really noticed about him, especially for someone so young. That's something that some of these young people are just so good at doing. His shot was great. Surge had one of the most accurate shots ever. I know some people say, oh, his shot's fast, his shot's not fast. It don't matter if his shot was fast or not. He dang near hit every shot that he went for. And he was a decent spawn trapper. He was the type of guy that if he did go for a trap, you didn't know what you were going to get. Honestly, if it was a for post game, I wouldn't want to risk getting put in a trap with the guy. So it's definitely one of those things. But I would be more concerned about how slick he is and his way to wiggle his way out and just catch you. He's really good at that. He's one of the best players that I have seen when it comes to knowing how to execute, and he does it quick and he does it good. Guess that's really all I can say about him. Definitely one of the best players I've ever seen. Next, we got Heroxity. I love Heroxity. I remember when he was just good at spawn trapping. Well, no, I remember when he wasn't even good at it. I remember him coming to me. I used to be friends with him when he was even younger, and he switched his name to Heroxity. I don't even remember what his old gamer tag was, man. I don't even remember what it was, and I hate the fact that I don't remember what it was. But once he changed his name to Heroxity, after he got good, and you want to, the thing of it is, I don't want to, yeah, I don't, because you know my name, my other name, Oxinity. I'm telling you, I was friends with him. I used to be good friends with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of took that aspect off of my name, you know? Because there's not a lot of inties. There's not a lot of, yeah, there's not a lot of that. So, honestly, man, I love it. I loved him. I really did. I miss him. He he was one of the best spawn trappers ever, especially at a young age, other than Scrubsy. We all know, I know that Scrubsy's young. I didn't even want to say it like that. Was young, and he was really good at a young age. But Heroxity probably has the fastest growth that I've ever seen. Within a young person, especially. He grew so quickly. His ground game became so good that he could compete with people close to the top. He was right there. His shot was fast. He black scoped dang near everything. He could black scope a spawn trap, a 50 piece. He was one of those people that was good at pretty much everything. He wasn't stupid. He knew what he was doing. Hold on. I'm just gonna turn all the music off. I wanted to keep that one playing. I was gonna record it. But yeah, Heroxity, I remember because I was helping him, and then he went over to, I think he went over to Wubsy, or it was probably Versace. No, he did. No, Heroxity did. Yeah, he did. He did. I don't know if he went to Scrubsy. I think he might have. I don't really know. But usually, if you want help and you're not good at figuring stuff out, you go to all the good people. You go to the best people, for sure. I was just one of those people that sat back and watched, and anytime I heard any of them say anything, I listened, I took it in, every chance I got. Heroxity, man, he reminds me of Frieza. If you give him a little bit of time, he could get so good when it would take people probably 2 years or a year to get that good. He could do it in 3 months. That is something I feel like people did not notice. I wanted to put that out there. Me and Scrubsy were talking about this. Not enough people are getting noticed. No one's really caring to see into it like that. Me and him agreed on that this should be looked into a lot more than how it has been looked upon. Because it's honestly a shame. I hope he's doing good. Speaking of Scrubsy, Scrubsy is next. Scrubsy, arguably the best spawn trapper that we ever had consistently. Back when he has hit more traps than anybody. I guarantee it. He has done, yeah, I already know he has, because I remember, yeah, he used to play up to like 1,000. He's probably went up high, like a lot higher than that. He would sit in a lobby with people and just hit a trap over and over again When you think of somebody that can hit a 50 piece over and over, he's definitely the guy. And it's so funny how I just look at it and I just haven't seen someone do that. I remember when I was watching him, I just could not believe how straight, how comfortable, how natural it looked. Every time I seen him, I felt so separated from him because you're looking at him and I just felt it didn't seem real. And he was everybody looked up to him when it came to that. When you talk about it, he is the name that comes up every single time. He might not have the world record or whatever, but he is still the best spawn trapper that ever touched BO2. And any other game you give him a chance and he actually gets comfortable, you're definite, yeah, expect the same thing. Other than that, though, his ground game he did not get enough credit for. I remember the first time I met him, he told me, it was on Raid too, I was watching him play, I think. Yeah, I was watching him play someone. And he said, yeah, man, he was like, yeah, when you think of Scribsy, you think about spawn trapping, right? Because he was going, going into the ground game thing because he knew I was looking at his ground game and he caught on to that. He has a great understanding. He doesn't have to capitalize on anything he talks about. He doesn't have to acknowledge things. He doesn't feed into what necessarily you want to hear necessarily. He likes to talk about things how he sees it and how he sees it only. Not that he doesn't see, he wouldn't have never just spoke the way I just spoke. He likes to see it the way he sees it. And he just goes on about it. And I remember when I used to watch Dragon Ball Z and what caught me with Whis was how he could just speak the way he spoke. And he was just so good at speaking, and I have trouble. It's more of something that I want to be, but it's not me. And but it still fascinates me, and I'm so interested in it at the same time. Because I could definitely be that way. To some extent, it depends. Because I'm not exactly that way, of course. But yeah, just to say, he had a personality that you could even see when he played. You could see it. Everything about him, you could see it all. He is definitely one of the most touching players. If anyone died in the community, which I hate that that's happened, there's been some poor choices, but it's still death. If anybody else in the community died, I would find it hard to believe that it would not upset anyone more than ever if it were Scrubsy. He has definitely touched everybody. Everybody and anybody. He is greatly appreciated. He probably has the most respect other than Wubsy and Oxenterry. He is right up there with them when it comes to that. And I appreciate him. Relxa. So Relxa, he was definitely one of the people that I looked to for ground game at one point. The thing about me and ground game is that I was not very... I'm going to play my game while I do this, but I need to keep playing it. But yeah, so especially when I was hitting my spawn traps at first, I was not able to. I wasn't able to shoot straight for a while, especially. So, what I'm saying is, on ground game, I was a drag scoper. I started off drag scoping to the side, not up, yeah, not up or anything. It was more to the side. And if I did shoot up, I would already be looking up there usually. So I'm a big believer in looking towards your target and not scoping up to your target because you want to be able to be precise and have some precision on them. So that way it's a lot more simple for you to defend yourself and get a type of connection with their body. Your scope. Well, yeah, your scope. The scope's the main thing. If you go based off of feeling, see that's one thing about me. There's some players that do not go off of feeling, but the players that go off of feeling tend to be the best players because they start to adapt a reasoning of seeing what's going to happen, and they foresee it, they feel it, whether it be the other person or them or both, and then the other person walks into it and they get them. Now, Relxa, he that describes him. Funny enough, that describes just exactly what I got from Relxa. He he was so there was something about him where he would just know what everybody would do. His shot was so fast. He had a very fast reaction time. He was quick. He was not slow. And even when he did things that were supposed to be slow, it was fast. Decent spawn trapper. The thing of it is, it doesn't even matter. His ground game alone is all he needs. That's all that you ever need to even see from him is what made him good enough. Relx, he also has a place in everybody's mind where he is, without question, one of the best players, always will be. You can't take nothing from him. I know people talked about how much he lost, how many loses he has. Losing's a part of it. Just because you lose, there are small amounts of people, very tiny. There's only a handful of people that could beat Relxa when he was actually good and when he actually cared, when he was actually competitive. There were not many, there were not even, probably not even over 5 people that I just believe that could beat him. Everybody, top 10 would not beat him. I feel like only the top 5 people would have beaten him or even had a chance against him. Top 5 when he actually had his shot. I don't believe anybody else was good enough. They they were not where he was at. That's the thing about Roxa. He was actually one of the 1v1ers that was ahead of his time by a lot. And he showed a lot of that. He showed a lot of the skill aspect. He showed something that really not anybody else showed in the way that he did it. Everybody has a different way. But Jesus, I've been in a few of his games, and I gotta tell you, Roxa has done some of the craziest things I've ever seen. He actually has amazed me more than I. You can feel everything that he does. He's such a dominant player, such power in his movement, his shot. It's really like nothing you've ever felt. especially if you're seeing it for the first time. It is it's something that will change your view on what it means. And he really opened my eyes. And that's what caught me. It's what caught my eye. Now, number 5, I put Carter. And so I only put Carter. Now, I didn't watch Carter like that. I probably only watched Carter 8 times, maybe 11. I don't know. But there are a few games I've seen Carter play that one thing I like about Carter is his shot and his way of accuracy in the way that he plays. He's very accurate. And the thing of it is, he's not super fast. He's not slow either. It's just he's so gradual in the way that he does things. He just picks off these long periods of playtime and he just dissects it honestly very smoothly. He probably has the most softest ways of moving, yet it's so deadly. I like his ground. I love how he orchestrates his ground game. You know, you got to be able to see it to believe it. And I know a lot of people have watched him and some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. But there's something special about the way that he does it. It's like a rapper that can rap really quick, but then there's this one rapper that he raps fast too, but his mouth moves slower. He's more fluid in the way that he speaks as well, and it makes it sound just as good. And that's what he is. A lot of respect to Carter also. Vayok, I've watched a good amount of games. I've been in Vayok's games, especially in MW2, MW3 as well, mostly MW2. Vayok is one of the best ground game players, no doubt. He's up there, 100%. Alright, Vayok has one of the best timings that I've seen when it comes to shooting somebody. When it comes to just hitting somebody off of like a peak or an edge, he usually hits you. I think the only time Vayok has trouble is when you get him out in the open. But when it comes to you giving him a chance behind stuff, and running obstacles, he is very good at just getting you as if that obstacle helps him more than it helps you. And the only other person that I've seen counter this with him was Relxa, just because I've watched so many of Relxa's games. I'm sure other people have too. It's not like no one ever has. But when I seen Vayok, I'm talking about how good that I've seen him. And I've seen Vayok do very well. And that's just something that I'm pointing out, is that Vayok's shot is what made him so dangerous. I was listening to that out there. But yes, Vayok, and he wasn't a spawn trapper. Same thing with Carter. Neither one of them were necessarily spawn trappers, but we all know, most, if you do know, they are ground game players. They are very good ground game players, and they are some of the best ground game players known by many, or at least the people that know, that are at the top, know that they are also at the top. Ugh. Dang, because I need to play this game. It's getting late, and I need to do it. But yeah, Vayok, he is very, I want to say he has a very swift shot. he wasn't Relxa, and he wasn't like Carter. It was his shot, and he had a way of using that shot to outplay you. That is something I have noticed about him, and that is what separated him. He, I'd say he did that probably better than most people for sure. That's very unique and special. Speaking about special, Oxenterry. Oxenterry was the first person I ever played. When I got BO2, when I got BO2 in 2012, right the day it came out, 8 o'clock in the morning, I got it. Right when GameStop opened. My disc broke 2 or 3 times, so I did have to wait a few times, but I seen Oxenterry play someone on YouTube. I just came across it one day, and I immediately joined him off of his gamer tag. There was just something up. It was a 1v1 edit, so it really drawed me in, and I wanted to see what it was that I felt from this. I wanted to see why I was so fascinated. I wanted to know. I wanted to know something. Soaring quick. Oh. Oh, so that's the blue and the. Alright. But. Yeah, so I can use. I could just use. Yeah. Oh, shoot, though. I kind of hate that but I had to focus on that. But yeah, Oxenterry, he was. I remember spawning in, and see, the thing about Oxenterry, and I think a lot of people see, I think he's one of the players you can notice a bit easier than the others, but there is something about him that is secret. He has a lot of secrets, he has a lot of things under or below the surface about him. I think Oxenterry is very good at keeping people in the dark. It's kind of like that thing that Scrubsy does, except I think Oxenterry is a bit better at it when he had his shot. That's what made him so good, and how people would look at him as probably the person with the most talent. And Oxenterry opened up a lot of ideas for everybody. Oxenterry is he is the biggest reason why there's a lot of and so much knowledge in Black Ops 2. When it comes to the walls you can shoot through, positioning, you know, sidestep, Oxenterry was the person that really brought that into the community a bunch. And the top players, already heard one of them say so. That's where I'm getting these words from, for the most part. And I think he's next up on the list. Yeah, he is. Really nothing too much I can say about Oxenterry. He's also one of the best spawn trappers. Has one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen. That is for sure. And I'm so glad that I got to see him play. He is one of my favorite people. He interests me more than probably anybody else. Well, it depends on the day. Yeah, it depends. It depends. He definitely is one of the more interesting players for me to watch. I'd say it's Oxenterry. I'd say it's him, Wubsy, and Honestly, Roxa. If I had to just put three in, the last two, if I had to put five, would be Scrubsy and I'd say that's tough. Surge, yeah, Surge, for sure, for sure. But yeah, Oxenterry, there's no amount of respect. There's no that's it right there. That is when you talk about someone that is the whole package. Oxenterry is the package and more. You will get more than what you expected from him. And speaking of that, Wubsy. Wubsy was one of the first people I seen also. And when I seen him, something sparked in me. Something really deep came within me. I could feel something. I felt something when I seen him. When I seen the game, I felt something within myself. It I don't even know. It's just something with battle. There's just something with war that has to do with it. To ambush. Wait, who the heck is ambushing me? What do you mean ambush? What the? Yes. Oh, this means. I forgot that you can get ambushed from that. I don't even know what it is. I forgot what it was. I don't know if it's anything important. But Wubsy, I'm so distracted tonight. I don't like the fact that I am, but I've already started the video, so I can't just quit. Turn that off. I don't really need to look at that. I can just wait. Ambush. Oh, okay, alright. So it's the same thing. I thought it was something else for a second there. But, so Wubsy, there was. See, the thing about him, too, this is just another person that was. Honestly, he was extraordinary. In a lot of ways, he he's the type of person when I seen him, I knew that he stood out from everybody else. And it speaks to what he's accomplished. Wubsy is pretty much he's looked at as probably no one would argue that he is not the most has had the most success. His accolades are definitely the highest. Everything about him, he was pretty much looked at as the guy that if you think about a 1v1er, Wubsy might be the one that pops up in your head, talks crap, proves himself, shows skill, challenges anybody and everybody, doesn't run anytime, anywhere. I mean, other than all the other stuff that he's done and other people have done, but we're here to talk about what's really about these people. And Wubsy was about everything that he ever did. And I gotta respect everybody on this list because they took their time out on that game to give something. And Wubsy has given so much. He is probably, yeah, he is the most respected. And it was because of how dominant he was and who he is. And I can just tell every time I see him, he is definitely the most respected out of every other 1v1er. You can see it and you can tell, and it's that same feeling when I watch him play somebody. It's the feeling coming from him is unlike anybody else. And I think that that gave him a lot of leverage as well. That gave him a lot of power in doing what he did. He knew, see, in Wubsy, he just knew how to. He is probably the most decorated player we have. He has. I'm going to put this up here. He has broken through so many barriers, I would say. He has done things so easily. He has made people look so easy when they are actually not easy. When he spawns in, it's like everything changes for that person. And I could see it. I mean, I could say it for the other players as well, but Wubsy was looked at differently. It's very similar to how Oxentary is looked at. It's also similar to how Scrubsy's looked at on Nuketown. Wubsy probably was the most unique player we've ever seen. Definitely that I've ever seen, I would say. I have not seen nobody, or probably never. I can't see anybody ever in Call of Duty being close to what he was. Especially when he ended his streak, on skunkism, or not skunkism, but sunken. Sorry, I was thinking about something else. On his sunken tag, he was undefeated. He did not get beat once on that tag. And that was his prime. Nobody beat him. And honestly, I don't think anybody, I don't know. Like I said, if Wubsy, if anyone would have beat him, it would have been 3 players off the top of my head. Only 3. I'm not going to say the names, but if you take a good guess, you probably know who I'm talking about. It's top 5. It's pretty obvious. The 3 players I could see beating him, only because it's Nuketown involved as well, which gave that away. So you already have an idea of one of the ones. Wubsy was not an easy fight. He was probably the hardest player to play when motivated. If the last thing you want is to play him when he is motivated. That he is definitely probably the most dangerous player, when motivated. Okay, so I put number 1, so I was thinking the last one, sorry. The last player I put, so I thought about Anicity, and Anicity, I definitely loved his videos, but I had to think to myself, and who knows what he could have become. If he would have put some technique into it, if he would have gotten to a certain place within his heart, I'm sure he could have definitely got somewhere with that. 100%. Anicity is still one of the most looked at as one of the best players to this day. Most people would still say he had an impact. He had one of the biggest impacts on Call of Duty, on BO2 ever. And he is one of the most respected and always will be. And the people, if we're not messing around here, he forever will be in. Can't believe he is another person that we lost so early. You know, if he would have stuck around, he could have been something special, I think. I also think, too, he was kind of one of them players. He didn't really want to go into that too much. He looked like a player that just kind of... That's the thing. If you ran into a public match player that was like that, that is unseen of. That is unseen of. Really. You don't just run into public match players, especially back then, that are like that. If he played public match, he hit freaking feeds a lot. There were other people that did too, but yeah, he was ahead. He was ahead. That's the problem, and this has been said a million times. If you think about someone that was ahead of their time, he was ahead. He was marginally ahead. He was, in his time, he was looked at in the same way Wubsy is almost looked at. Dang near. Dang near. If you think about where he was and where Wubsy is, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just a different time. More people came in, there were less people. Other people were good, not as many people were good. People knew this, people didn't know as much. That's what makes him such an important figure. Right there. And now that I've paid my respects to him, I put Vaxtex. And the reason why I put Vaxtex is because he was young, so young, and he had probably the most potential out of anybody that I have ever seen for the most part. His potential was... He had one of the greatest potentials I've ever seen. His shot... He could spawn trap too. So comfortable. That's the thing, man. When I see someone play, and they're as comfortable as this guy is and was, I can just tell. Now, he definitely was young, so he was naive to a certain extent. But you could tell that he knew what he was doing. He wasn't the best at understanding himself all the way. I think he matured, but by the time he matured, he quit. So, that's, again, definitely not something you expect or want to happen. Other than that, though, no. He has another one of the most beautiful shots, or black scopes. He was young as well, like I said. His ground game, for when he was playing, was something totally different. And I don't want to sound as if I'm not giving him what he truly deserves, because the truth of it is, Vaxtex deserves a huge amount of respect, considering the way that I looked at him, or when I've seen him play and I liked it. There's one person I'm thinking about right now, though, and he has one video that I watched, and that was one of my favorite videos. It's probably my favorite. That video is probably my favorite, other than one of Wubsy's edits that I seen. And that's actually Vaxa AM. Another young... He was the youngest. He was 8. He was freaking 8. Vaxa AM. To see a kid do that... It ain't even got the... It's not even the fact that he's a kid. It's the fact that he had such a... I love it when someone can express themselves through just playing a game. And I can just feel everything coming from them. I wish I could have met that kid, he would have been probably the best youngest player ever. He might have not been a spawn trapper, but oh my goodness, his ground game would have been. I think his ground game would have been so freaking trouble. Would have been such a trouble. I think Vaxa had more potential than Vaxtex just because, we didn't get to see Vaxa play. See, Vaxa quit so dang. He's probably quit quicker than anybody else I could name right now. Unfortunately. But he was young, so, you never really know what happened. But yeah, Vaxtex was a pretty intelligent player. I think that he was just young and he needed more experience and more self-learning, and I could see Vaxtex being a lot better than what he was. For sure. And I think it's about time I end this because I need to do this, and it's bothering me too much. And it's getting hot in here because I'm over here talking about this so much, but yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to. I was going to bring up others. I don't really need to, though. And I was going to say something else, but this is for them. This is for, I felt a little, sympathetic, I guess you could say, or whatever it's called. And I wanted to do this for that reason. And just give a overall of what I think and what I truly feel. I wouldn't change it. I would not change how I felt about what I just put out. It is truly it, and it is the truest and purest of what I truly believe and feel in my heart, and I love it. It will always have a place in my heart, being someone that was also interested and so passionate in the same thing.